Hello and welcome to the Benzo Rehab Dungeon. It is the 5th of November, 2021. This is episode 65. I am your host, Michael Deebs. Joining me, as always, Danko Suvin from the Instagram handle at DankDeluz. Not joining us this week, and concerningly so, John, the producer, from the Instagram handle at Discopathic. We're not sure where John is, and this isn't a shitpost or a joke. We hope he's okay, and if he hears this, because I'm sure he listens to the podcast whenever he goes missing. No time to joke, but I'm still throwing him in there. But yeah, we hope he's okay, and hopefully he'll be back for the next episode in better or worse shape than left him last time we had him on here. Danko, how are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm fine. But John, if you can hear us,
John, please come home, John.
Please come home. If you can hear us in the future, or you're bugging us,
yeah.
Which he might be. He could be bugging us. He could also be in the future.
Do you think John was a Fed this whole time?
He might be a glowy. Yeah. He's like too.
I mean,
he's too ideal.
He literally glows in all of his like lighting setups.
He glows. He's just like, I don't know. He's too perfect.
There's something going on with that guy.
Something going on.
No, but
he worked for the military.
Genuinely, we actually don't know where he is. So enough of that, I guess. Yep. I'm doing okay. You didn't ask, but I'll just go ahead and throw it.
Well, I'm thinking about our friend.
Yeah, well, I'm also a friend.
I guess. I mean,
you can't forget everyone. You know,
this is like a union bashing thing where it's like, we're actually family here at the Benzo Rehab Dungeon, so we want to keep that open door policy.
In this Benzo Rehab Dungeon, we don't forget our friends.
We don't let solidarity stand in our way.
Yeah, we don't let solidarity stand. And then, you know, we also live by the ancient Roman adage, which is a man that chases two rabbits catches none. So you have to decide.
That's true. That's true.
Anyways, I'm doing great. This was my last day of work at City.
Inshallah.
I think next week I may go into some specifics on why local government is kind of failing in a lot of ways. I don't know how endemic this is to the greater scope of America, but I assume a lot of issues kind of apply to a lot of circumstances. The federal level of things that we have to deal with. And
I somehow doubt that most local government is dealing with inefficiency and nepotism or anything like that.
Okay. Well, that you clearly have a much better view of the world than I
do. It's just your town.
So maybe next episode I'll put together something that kind of goes into, you know, there's a lot of good ideas that get thrown out there that functionally don't work because most cities are underfunded or the resources just aren't available. It's applying like a cookie cutter to a dough that isn't really consistent. Cities a little bit different, and trying to fit within these parameters doesn't always work. There's also some personal issues I had with how things are being run, but I'll try to stay away from that and stick more to the functional systemic issues that I noticed in government, and part of why ultimately I felt like even if the personal issues I had with my management worked out, I still wouldn't want it there anymore. That'll probably be next episode. We're also scheduling, working on scheduling with Teddy again.
Hell yeah.
For some more Russian history.
Episode 12 of Peter the Great.
All roads lead back to Peter. Is what I've learned so far.
He's a great guy.
So this episode is going to be about I've got it tentatively titled the cheesiest goddamn dystopia. And basically billionaire class, the ruling class, is kind of competing to lead us down whichever like shitty dystopic road they can manage to get us all into. We'll be going into that later. What I wanted to start us out with, though, is Jordan Peterson getting absolutely thrashed by what's his name again? Oh man, doesn't have his name here. Oh, Hans-Georg Muller.
There you go.
He runs the YouTube account Carefree Wandering. It's a very good little series of talks on philosophy, in my opinion. But he did
actual academic as well.
Yeah, actual academic
has
philosophy.
Published some interesting work talking about Taoism and identity and all sorts of things.
Yeah, very good stuff. I highly recommend you take a look at it. You being the listener.
Yeah.
So he did.
I wanted to turn that into like a fake conflict, but
yeah,
you don't think I know about it.
I wanted to nip that in the bud because I saw that coming a mile away.
You saw the twinkle in my eye.
Yeah. It's like when you get a scrape in the Shark Tank, like, oh god, better cover that up. So he did a video on Jordan Peterson's kind of like ideology, basically. Which is funny because, and I think he points this out in the video a couple of times, Jordan Peterson, famously says stuff like, abandon your ideology. But he obviously himself has an ideology because everybody has an ideology unless you're like a lobotomized fucking invalid, like, I don't know, staring at a blank wall all day.
Just a reminder from Althusser that those who see themselves as being outside of ideology are generally the ones most deeply entrenched in it.
Which rings very true in Jordan Peterson.
Yes.
So
all the free speech warriors who were like, you can say anything you want.
You can say anything you want. Now they're trying to ban books in Texas. It's pretty interesting.
Yes, dude. Do we have that list? Are we gonna go over that?
We'll go over that another time, probably.
It's so
maybe
funny.
We can tie that into the government thing. And why government is just like so fucking flawed right now.
That list is so good, though. I gotta say.
It is a good list. So Jordan Peterson responded in the comments of the first video that Muller did on Jordan Peterson. I would classify this as a meltdown. I think Muller is a little bit more forgiving to how Jordan Peterson responds. So we'll look at Jordan Peterson's response to the video, and then at the end of this particular response to the response, there's an epic burn. Just go ahead and roll.
Thank you very much, Dr. Peterson, for responding to the video that we did on you and that characterized you as a mirror of wokeism. In this video, I pointed out that today's society is characterized by a conflict between two opposite wings of the same civil religion. One wing is wokeism, the other wing is represented by you. But you weren't happy with this and you asked me a question. So I'm going to try to answer the question now. Jordan Peterson complained about a number of things in the video we did. And number one, he said that I misunderstood or oversimplified his thought, and especially regarding his core idea of the sovereign individual.
Can you
and then secondly,
yeah.
Can you go back like 3 seconds so we can read to the listener the comment?
I think he's going to read it.
Oh, is he going to? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I think he's going to read it, but
because it's very good.
Yeah, if he doesn't read it in a couple of seconds, we can go.
Okay.
He was unhappy that I unduly highlighted his anger. And thirdly, he thought I was strawmanning him as doing self-help and depicting this genre somewhat negatively. Then he didn't like that I was framing him, to quote him, as if what I am doing is a Baudrillesque spectacle. On top of that, he also found that I depreciated his take on Nietzsche as outdated and unscholarly. Then he asked a question. He said, it seems that you are saying, me, all we offer to the world is something akin to an approval-seeking set of false selves with nothing genuine at the bottom. I ask you in all seriousness, is that a philosophy or is it a confession? Now, I want to address all of these points.
Do you want to read all these? Or...
No, but I will point out one thing, which is just that he, I mean, first off, he writes the exact same way he speaks, and I think that rules.
And all you claim as realistic and contradiction my naivety. Your conclusion that we all offer to the world is something akin to an approval-seeking set of false selves with nothing genuine at the bottom.
Right, and it's but the best part about this to me is that one of the first things he mentions is like how he feels shitty about being called self-help, but also that self-help isn't all that bad.
Well, and also, you know, to take umbrage with, you know, being called self-help when you have two books. One is titled 12 Rules for Life, the other one being 12 More Rules for Life.
Right. And it's like when you're speaking to someone that is really into defending Peterson, the thing that they always fall back on is he's great self-help.
Yeah, he's helped a lot of people.
Right. Like, because the standard argument that I always end up having, which is why I don't really have it anymore, is, hey, Jordan Peterson bad. Yeah. What bad about Jordan Peterson? Jordan Peterson no say anything good. And then they say, well, he no say any good philosophy because he no philosophy. He self-help. And I say, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this idea of like throwing, that was awesome. But also the way he started all of this was the way that all of these debates begin, but is like the perfect way of just summing up Jordan Peterson's response to everything, which is, you clearly have absolutely no idea what I think.
Yeah.
Because no one does. No one has any idea what he actually thinks.
that is you know, an ironic thing for him to say, because one of my criticisms of Jordan Peterson that I frequently bring up is he has no fucking idea what he's saying most of the time.
You can't define any of my philosophical systems because I cannot offer them.
Because I also cannot define them, right?
All right.
So that's the intro. I recommend, you know, if you're interested in this kind of beef between Based Muller and Jordan B. Peterson.
What kind of breads are they? If there's beef in between them.
Oh, man, come on, dude. Don't do that.
No, we got... What kind of breads are there? Peterson is like...
Peterson is bleached white bread.
Bleached white?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Muller is... okay, actually, yeah, maybe like a...
whole grain wheat.
I was going to say like a rye. I think I just have like rye-oriented breads on my mind right now.
That does seem like where most of this is coming from. A drive for hungry. Bread rather than a drive for defining these men as bread. So let's go ahead and skip ahead to so during this whole video, he basically just like points out why Jordan Peterson's little meltdown here is wrong. He backs it up with things Jordan Peterson has said, and then I think at some point he does kind of basically also say it is kind of hard to pin him down on like what he actually believes, though, because he says different things all the time, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. But at the end, he does this just disastrous burn. Like, I don't think Jordan Peterson's ever going to come back to this guy, because this is just... I would be insulted if someone said this to me.
Oh, I'm ready.
And I know it's not true, like, if they said it about me, but I would just be like, dude, fuck you. Fuck you forever.
This guy kind of rules too, because he's so
He's nonchalant.
He's generally, he's like so sweet and mellow and stuff for the most part, but occasionally he like really puts the dagger in somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah. Those Germans are very calculating. So here's his burn at the end. He did another video to the person that he's going to allude to, which was interesting.
Be it in the form of a profile or of sovereign individuality. Now let me conclude with a footnote on Nietzsche. Yes, I do believe that Peterson's take on Nietzsche is somewhat inaccurate, and I don't think it reflects the breadth of Nietzsche's ideas very well. I personally prefer PewDiePie's take on Nietzsche.
I expected it to be more highbrow, but
I mean, like any other video, there would be rap air horns going off.
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh, that's awesome. That's good.
The gif of the kids that are going like, oh.
Maybe that was just a dog whistle, and he prefers racism.
No, he did a PewDiePie apparently decided to do a video on Nietzsche for some reason.
That's funny. Okay.
So,
of course he did. Of course he did.
One of Mueller's things with this whole YouTube project is like figuring out how he can like game the system basically to get like a bunch more views than he probably should get. So he responds to like every prominent like YouTuber that like is doing anything about philosophy.
Right.
So
man, I should start responding to him.
Yeah, that's what, just clout chase the clout chaser.
Hell yeah.
There's a Jordan Peterson video that I don't have the heart to watch.
I kind of want it though. I want it now.
All right.
If you can't do it. But for real though, when do you think Miller is going to finally respond to MoMA PS5?
has MoMA PS5? I honestly don't know if this is a joke or like MoMA PS5 actually did something.
I mean, it's both. It's both.
Yeah,
we can carry on.
That guy do like to beef.
Yeah.
So this is Jordan Peterson on Joe Rogan's podcast doing some fucking great math to begin with and then gaslighting the entire world.
Hell yeah. We love to see it.
So let's just go right into it, I guess.
Well, let's assume your time's worth $50 an hour. That's $2,000 a week you're wasting. It's $100,000 a year. How much better would your life be if you weren't wasting $100,000 a year? It's like, what is that over 40 years? $4 million. It's like, you're rich. You don't even know it. Quit wasting time. By your own definition. It's like people shake their heads like, oh, I never thought about it that way. It's like, yeah, think about it that way. Don't waste your damn life. And then you think, well, why would people be resistant to that message? It's like, well, you really want to wake up and figure out that you're wasting half your life? And you know, when people do that kind of wasting, they actually hate it, you know. And I've had lots of people come to my clinical practice who were chronic procrastinators, you know, and so they're watching YouTube videos, say, but not ones that are good for them, although sometimes they will do that, but just browsing in that kind of mindless way that you do when you're not paying attention and you're trying to kill time. People doing that, they feel bad, they get depressed, they feel anxious, they can't get away from it, they feel kind of quasi-addicted.
That's what they're saying about social media now. It's a huge issue with young kids.
Absolutely. But there's this feeling of kind of internal rot and corruption that goes along with it. It's like, yeah, well, you're wasting your life. It's like, so it's painful. It's painful to recognize that. Then it's painful to think, oh my God, look how undisciplined I am. I don't know anything. I can't use a schedule. I can't stick to a calendar. I don't have any aims. I don't know anything about the world, right? And maybe there's a part of me that's bitter because I haven't got everything already. And I'd just like to say, to hell with it. That's the recognition of the Jungian shadow. That's what makes you vicious and untrustworthy. All of that. No one wants to look at that. And no bloody wonder. But hey, the alternative is worse.
So what's your take on
that? Mostly the economic first half of it, which is your time is worth $50 an hour, which I don't know. I've been in a professional field for quite some time, and I'm not making that per hour.
Right. With that's actually that's the one qualm I have with this as well, but it's kind of in the opposite direction, where I think that everyone's time is worth at least that,
Sure.
And it's just a really good way of exposing how you shouldn't actually be the middle manager at a Chili's.
No, for sure. No,
or just be, you know,
we both
alienated.
agree. We both agree that our time is worth more than what we're actually given.
Right.
But he's saying, hey, your time's worth this much. Why aren't you just making it happen? And it's like, well, bro, there's like a whole like system of economics that forces us into less than we're worth because we have to get by on like basic subsistence until we can find something where we're like, hey, I can save up some pennies here and there.
Right.
And
my time is worth $50 an hour, but it sucks that the market demands I sell it for $7.50.
Exactly. Yeah. So you know, he's saying your time's worth $50 an hour. You're wasting $2,000 per week, and I guess he's considering that, you know, all this free time you have laying about, you're supposed to be somehow working a job that gives you $50 an hour, which doesn't exist. I don't know of any jobs like, except for you know, high tier sort of like upper management or like a small business owner level kind of shit.
Yeah, he's talking about a salaried position and assuming that it only takes up 40 hours a week.
Right, yeah, exactly. Or that, you know, just anybody can walk into that salaried position as well.
Yeah.
And then, you know, of course the math is like, oh, so, you know, $2,000 a week, that's $100,000 a year. And in 4 years you could be a fucking millionaire or something, you know, like, so just all of that. I mean, he's obviously right about like the doom scrolling and stuff like that, but that's such a like basic like, hey, being addicted to technology is like an escape, and it's probably not a healthy one for you, like every other escape isn't a healthy one for you.
Right.
Great, you figured out the fucking formula. I just need to make $50 a fucking hour somehow, magically.
And you know what? If you make $50 an hour, just work 20 hours a week.
Exactly.
You know, don't worry about it.
All those part-time jobs hiring at $50 an hour. So that's the Jordan Peterson segment of the show. We've been doing that last, but I wanted to get it out of the way first because.
Go
ahead.
Also, I've been meaning to ask: does anyone know what his logo is?
No, which is funny because he's not a modernist or postmodernist, but
it's like fake cubism.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is this supposed to be a map of meaning?
It doesn't have enough like completely inscrutable like reference points on it. Yeah, there's no dragon, there's no pre-cosmogonic egg.
Yes.
I actually I believe this is the body without organs.
Oh man, yeah. There you go. Well, good.
So to the main topic this evening, which is
the reason everyone came here.
Yes. Which is that everything's bad.
Oh, the face we love.
We're gonna start with Meta. It's a 3-minute video. There's longer ones, of course, but so this is enough.
Yeah, that's more than enough. Also, the title of this video is some Bond villain sounding shit.
Breaking down the metaverse.
That's the name of my new like blackened grind metal album.
So yeah, let's just this is our favorite, definitely not a lizard person or an android, Mark Zuckerberg, talking about his metaverse, which you know, in the spirit of we're talking about the cheesiest dystopias that can be imagined by billionaires. This is the VR headset dystopia where everybody's living in an imaginary world, but in reality they're just kind of huddled in the dark, decrepit corners of their buildings that are collapsing around them.
Right.
And instead of it being like a real, like, genuine VR experience where you feel like you're really in it, we're not going to get that. We're going to get some like knockoff bullshit tier level.
It's going to be first person Animal Crossing.
Yeah, pretty much. A lot of
which I've never played, so maybe
a
that
lot
joke
of the
doesn't work.
technologies that he ends up talking about are like purely theoretical or in such an undeveloped state where nobody can really figure out how to develop them further, that it's like intangible. But of course, he's a billionaire, so he thinks, hey, if I set the goal 5 years from now, we're gonna have this running and functional. That'll be enough. In 5 years, it'll happen.
My plan. I don't know. I don't even. I can't even recall what he sounds like. But and I've heard I've heard him give depositions and stuff. I have no idea what this man sounds like. That's bizarre.
You could replace Mark Zuckerberg with like a gray slate, and he would be no different.
I just shut down my impression entirely. I have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
Oh,
you don't have to do an impression.
I guess not. It's over.
The story here.
He is either a robot or a lizard. He has to be.
Yeah.
Or a hologram. I mean, looking at him,
it does not, looking at him does not make you believe in him.
Yeah, that's not a person.
Yeah. No. And he shouldn't be treated as one either.
He's not a real boy.
Yeah. So from the shadow realm of our nightmares, here's Mark Zuckerberg talking about the metaverse.
Today, we're going to talk about the metaverse. I want to share what we imagine is possible.
Yeah.
The experiences you'll have, the creative economy we'll all build, and the technology that needs to be invented, as well as how we're going to...
So that's an important thing that he brings up already. The technology that needs to be invented.
Yeah.
This technology that he wants to incorporate doesn't exist yet. It's all hypothetical. It's all theoretical. It's not functional.
No.
We'll continue.
No. This is him. Yeah, it's him. It's his little fantasy.
Yeah.
That's all.
All do this together.
You're here!
The next platform and medium will be even more immersive.
Like a shop.
Some call it skill.
Keep talking.
An embodied internet where you're in the experience, not just looking at it. And we call this the metaverse.
You pause it again. Sorry.
Yeah.
Really, what this is it's like it's the corporate version of getting into a fight with your girlfriend and then deciding to fix it by saying, "Hey, I was thinking I would quit drinking and maybe we could get married."
Oh, I was gonna go a different route with that, which is let's have a baby. But I think we're on the same track regardless.
Exactly. The baby is better.
You're early on in the relationship where they make the bad decision of getting married because they're having issues and they think that'll fix it, and then like after the high of like, oh, we went through the marriage ceremony and everyone was there and it was wonderful, they start having problems again, and then they're like, ah, shit, what's the next step after this? Oh, baby.
Yeah. We're going to make a baby. It's going to exist in 3D and have this whole like creative economy.
The baby is going to be really academic and smart and good.
It's going to have a big dick.
Yeah, and you know what we'll do is we'll play the Mozart for babies, on the headphones while it's in the womb. People did that.
They did. Yeah, they did.
That is so wild to me that people thought that like, hey, yeah, if I put headphones on my fucking stomach and blast some Mozart into my baby's brain, that's gonna like make it better.
That's how strong like ideology is, man. It's
we're gonna get into that because that's what a lot of this is just like this pure fantasy belief in like
that like culture is innate and you can just give it to babies.
Right, yeah.
The zygotes.
So yeah, you're correct. This is imaginary. This is trying to fix something that like, or it's like a response to a problem that isn't like an actual response to the problem.
It's just distraction.
The real problem being that our entire world is falling apart and we're gonna die a slow, like exhausting death of just like running out of water slowly, and all of our governments are going to fail at some point. There's probably going to be a lot of violence and wars over like basic resources, and hey, at least we'll have the metaverse, which
I mean,
which will run on infrastructure that won't exist at this point in time.
Yeah, for like every pixel in the metaverse is going to require like 450,000 tons of carbon.
Absolutely.
But the I figured it out. I figured out why he looks that way. He's got like, it's a Pinocchio type of thing, but he's already in the metaverse, right? And so every time that he tells a lie, he loses a polygon. And so he's just extremely smooth.
So Mark Zuckerberg is from the future. Because the metaverse doesn't exist yet. So he's the future arriving in the past to inform the future.
It's actually a really good way of picturing retrocausality as well, because like you try to describe this with like bird flight patterns or something, but that can escape people pretty well. But if you imagine Mark Zuckerberg as on the timeline that we see it, he's turning into an 8-bit character and then eventually into nothing. If you imagine the way that things generally develop is that they develop the other way around, it's a better way of imagining how things are actually working, where what he's doing is he's entering into the past by becoming more and more complex and becoming himself, but it's in order to inform the future, where he becomes an 8-bit character and dies.
So he's like Benjamin buttoning the metaverse into existence.
He is. Pinocchio, Benjamin Button.
I wanted to continue to like confuse all the metaphors we're using here, to make it completely incomprehensible.
I like the torture of metaphor here.
Yeah. All right, let's continue. One thing I'll point out to the listener and not the viewer is that we're seeing a bunch of images of people like being half in a world that's digital. Sometimes they're in the real world, but there's like a digital element to the real world, so it's kind of like mixing and blending these two things together.
And there was a character before that like started off a person and then turned into a 3D model, exactly. Like while the camera was looking away from him. It was very confusing. It was kind of scary, actually.
Yeah. So the idea here is that this is some kind of alternate reality, which probably is best related to the listener and things like Pokemon Go.
Right? Oh, I thought you were going to say Videodrome.
No. That's also funny though. But Pokemon Go, like where you're walking around in the real world, but there's like information tags at certain locations that like pop up a fucking Pikachu or a what's another Bulbasaur.
There you go.
And
you can't catch a Bulbasaur or a Pikachu in the wild if Pokemon Go is like the games. I
wouldn't know.
Actually, no, you can catch a Pikachu. I don't fucking know. I'm talking out of my ass here.
Yeah.
I just know you can't catch a Bulbasaur. That's something that's given to you at the start. I think. I think it stays that way.
A Bulbasaur is earned, never given.
Yeah. It's actually only ever given. It's never earned.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, I don't know anything about Pokemon, but I do know how Pokemon Go works is that you walk around in the real world, there's information tags. Using your phone, you kind of look around, and it has a general idea where like the plane of the ground is, because it can like sort of guess the spatial difference between where your phone is and where the ground is, and like generates a creature that more or less kind of sticks to the ground. But anybody who's used like a Snapchat or Instagram filter knows that like you tilt the phone the wrong way and like all of a sudden the filter's just like wrong and bad, and you gotta like
doing backflips and like stretching.
So this is mostly what seems to be what he's trying to accomplish with the metaverse is alternate reality, using a VR headset sort of apparatus, where again this is very flaky technology. Anybody who's used any of these kind of systems will understand, and he's not the first person to try to attempt to do something like this. Like Pokemon Go was this very lofty goal that sort of kind of started the same way as the metaverse, except I think Nintendo understood like, no, we're just gonna try to make it so people can walk around and catch some fucking Pokemon or something.
Well, they just like reskinned some other game from what I'm aware of. Right?
Yeah. There's and again, they're just working off of technology that was sort of flaky to begin with. They developed it just to be a little bit better, and now the same thing is happening here with the metaverse. It's never going to be what they want it to be, which is where everything feels like it's there and real. So
well, I imagine like the Hellraiser world that you could make if that was the case. But I did just it occurred to me that if these people are entering into the metaverse and there is this like perfect fusion of body and digital body, just imagining like getting a ban because you got a boner.
Well, that is an interesting subject we could probably eventually talk about, because there have been some like cyberbullying bills that have been proposed.
Ugh.
And my concern is, obviously, if the metaverse comes into any kind of existence, I'm going to go on it and I'm going to shit up the place.
Yeah, literally just shit everywhere, probably.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm going to do.
My concern is that at that point, because there are lobbyist groups and some of them are working for these social media companies trying to get these cyberbullying bills passed. And it's in their best interest, because if you have real world consequences for something that's being done in a digital space, that's a way of moderating the interaction with this digital space that they're trying to cultivate. So basically you're going to create, and this is in their wildest dreams, you're going to create this space where everybody's able to interact together and see each other in a half virtual, half real world, and you're not allowed to do anything outside the guideline.
How about these people Pokemon Go get themselves some low polygon pussy?
Yeah. How about these people Pokemon Go fuck themselves, if you know what I'm saying?
Got him. Dude, the only metaverse that I want to be involved in is one that is essentially just Kiwi Farms. Kiwi Farms meets Dark Souls. That's what I want, where it's just like everyone is murdering one another constantly. And as that's happening, everyone has picked one fucking weirdo that everyone makes fun of for eternity.
Yeah, well,
until they die,
and at that point,
and they're replaced or reincarnate.
At that point, we might as well just stick to real life. I don't know.
In my mind, the only thing that makes a digital world like people have this backwards, where they think we can build a digital world so it can be more ideal and perfect than our current one.
No, that's not what we would want to build.
No, you want to build a digital world so that you can do all the awful things you want to do without consequences.
Exactly, which is why this is already a failed concept, because
right.
I mean, in any game that you've played multiplayer, whether it's
like the game Facebook.
Right, yeah, that is a game to some people. Not me. I take it very seriously. But
all I do is teabag people on Facebook. I do a headshot.
Well, no, exactly. Any multiplayer game that you've played, let's say World of Warcraft. Another good one I think would be Rust to consider in this circumstance.
Pretending your bow doesn't work.
Right, pretending your bow doesn't work. Everybody in the community is like, "Oh, let me teach you how to use a bow, buddy," and then you like waste their time for like 30 minutes, and then it turns out that you're a pro gamer that can just like headshot people from like miles away, and they don't know how to deal with you, whatever.
360 no scope.
That's what the metaverse should be, but that's not what the metaverse will be, because this is going to be the sanitized, like more sanitized than real life is sanitized by like law and regulation, because there's no consequence to them banning you from the metaverse, right? It's
motherfuckers
not real.
can't sort out what they want. Just admit what you want.
Exactly. Right. So let's continue with the metaverse. I just wanted to describe it a little bit for the listener, and then go into like why this is just such a failed concept. Technologically. And also just like in function, like what is it for if you can't cyberbully people?
Right. And as you hit play, I need the listener to know that we're currently looking at a whole bunch of planetary celestial orbs with a DJ in the background.
We have actually been pondering the orbs for quite some time here.
It's true.
Everything we do online today, connecting socially, entertainment, games, work, is going to be more natural and vivid. Whoa.
More natural and vivid, as we're literally living in a clown world, alternate reality with like a fucking VR headset strapped to your face and little control things attached to your arms. More real and vivid than ever.
The most important thing that we've learned over the last year is that people really love Zoom meetings. And so what we've decided to do is develop a Zoom meeting that allows you to kill yourself.
Yeah. And then
you die in the Zoom meeting, you die in real life.
The other thing that kind of lends some support to the Mark Zuckerberg is an android, or he's the metaverse returning to the past to create itself in the future. If he considers this to be a more real and vivid excuse me, ooh, man, these drinks. If he considers this to be a more real and vivid experience, is it because like he can only interact with data?
yeah, that's exactly it. Also, he was just fencing in this clip.
He was fencing a fake person.
Yeah. I don't know if he fences in real life. If he does fence in real life, does it make him more or less of a nerd?
More.
Okay.
Another thing
I never know how to feel about fencing.
Another thing that I would like to point out, all right, he's fencing a digital person, right?
Yes.
What happens in real life fencing when you like strike somebody?
You get all poked, and then you're like, oh, well, you got a point on me.
Well, also your physical body faces some resistance, right?
Right.
So how is he going to fence a digital character and feel any of that resistance whenever he strikes against either their I don't know what they call it, their sword, their blade, their pointy stick?
You've played a video game, you know that it's all bullshit. Like,
well, that's what I mean. Is like how is this going to be like a more realistic expression, or how's this even going to be a realistic expression? How can you fence somebody that isn't actually there? You're just gonna swing through them even if you meet blades, and there's like no way for you to like force clipping in real life, you know? Right. So you're gonna swing through when you wouldn't normally swing through, and so like the whole entire
and it'll make a little sound, and you'll be like, wow. Yeah. Dude, VR games suck.
They do. They're horrible.
They're so bad.
They're such a gimmick. I keep telling people this. They're a fucking gimmick, and I don't know how anybody enjoys them.
I remember I've only played them like twice, but a buddy of mine was like really, well, a buddy of ours was really obsessed with them for a while and convinced me to go over to his place to play them. And we played this like shooting game, and it was just, I don't know, man. Like it felt like
didn't feel like killing in real life.
It just felt like a chore.
Yeah, because you're dealing with like clunky controls, and that's you know, to my point about like all of this technology is flaky as shit.
Yeah.
Even the people that are like pioneering this shit haven't got it to a point where it feels genuine, where it feels good, where it like works consistently. It's all just like fumbling around in the darkness here.
And at the point where they were to make it so that it's actually convincing and realistic, at that point in time, why aren't you just fucking playing airsoft?
Exactly.
You know, and honestly,
are simulations that exist.
And in that case, why are you such a fucking dork?
Exactly. Full circle.
Right, that's a little too realistic.
Too real.
Too realistic. He says as he's fencing a digital character that can't actually hit him.
It's crazy that in this current image, Zuckerberg is the only one that's not digital.
Yeah. Oh.
He just told a big lie.
So this is another horrific part of this, I think, is, you know, while you're wearing this VR headset, you're gonna get like notifications like in your eyes, you know, like normally
your antivirus expired.
Yeah, normally
makes you go blind.
Normally when you get like a notification on your phone, like you don't have to have your phone in your face all the time. So like maybe you get a notification, maybe it makes a little rumble, but you can ignore it when you're strapped into a headset. And I'm sure there will be some options where you can like, hey, disable the pop-ups or whatever, but also there's going to be like people who can pay money to like force the pop-up anyways.
There's always going to be invasive shit. Yeah.
That's how this is going to fucking work, right? So this pop-up that is happening in the VR simulation right now is somebody has challenged you to Hyperfoil VR, which is some kind of racing game, I guess.
This is more my style. We believe the metaverse will be the successor to the mobile internet. And you're gonna be able to do almost anything you can imagine. All right, perfect.
Boy.
Oh, hey, Mark. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Mark. What's up, Mark?
This place is amazing.
The feeling of presence. This is the defining quality of the metaverse.
Why are you
really feel like you're there with other people?
No, how do you know that?
How do you know that? And he's
the sense of presence in this thing I've invented in my mind is incredible.
Yeah, the sense of presence. There was a short clip that's played of people that are playing basketball. Some of them are real people, some of them are VR people. How do you play basketball with fake people?
I'm going to tell you right now.
You don't.
I'm tell you right now. No. You could do it. You could do it. And the way you would do it is that you would go with all your buddies who you hate to go play basketball, and then it would just put digital overlays on all these people and make them into people that you wish you could hang out with. Okay. So you'd be playing with like Kobe, except he's bad at basketball, and like Mr. Pibb, whatever he looks like. And
that's gonna come into play in a couple of seconds, I think.
Oh, God damn it!
Yeah, you're gonna love one of the things that he brings up eventually.
Yeah, it's man, I have to go hang out with Mike again. Good thing I'm gonna replace him with Mila Jovovich while we go play basketball.
Naked Mila Jovovich from The Fifth Element.
Is that her name, Jovovich?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I wasn't correcting you or anything. I only caught like half of what you said there. But yeah, no, that's gonna be awesome. Like next time we hang out and I turn you into like I don't know, Joe Biden with tits though.
Yeah. Next time we kiss, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be Scarlett Johansson with Biden's face.
Me just like you're like, what are you reaching for? There's nothing there. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were Joe Biden with big tits.
I'm not sure what I'm reaching for. I can't feel anything.
Yeah.
Emotionally or otherwise.
You'll see their facial expressions, you'll see their body language, maybe figure out if they're actually holding a winning hand. All the subtle ways that we communicate that today's technology can't quite deliver.
I knew you were bluffing.
Avatars will be as common as profile pictures today, but instead of a static image, they're going to be living 3D representations of you. Beyond avatars, there is your home space. Your home is your personal...
We're never going to get through this. But also, the people that they're picturing are done with like varying levels of like detail.
Some of them are very realistic. Some of them are just like fucking Nintendo Mii characters.
Right, exactly. And so I assume that the people who have things like money. Human faces are rich, exactly. Or maybe I don't know, because the people with human faces have like pores and shit.
Yeah.
You get reported and it gives you zits.
It makes you as ugly as you are in real life until you pay more money.
On your third ban, you're forced into wearing blackface at all times. Everyone just gets angry at you all the time. No, I swear Zuckerberg did this.
It's not called blackface though. It's just like you're voided out.
Yeah, right.
But it's still like capturing your lips and your eyes.
Exactly. It's just this big white space for your lips to move, so they can tell if you're speaking. It's that like early 2000s Marilyn Manson blackface.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
The good blackface.
Back when
it was cool.
It's incredible. that existed.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I think maybe some of the listener doesn't realize that.
Well, I think it came out that Marilyn Manson is also like an abusive
Oh, probably. I mean,
maniac.
yeah.
Because the gal
After enough
from
coke,
the gal from Westworld, I forget her name.
I don't know.
But she dated him for a while, and then she like came out saying like, yeah, he was a weird sadistic creepo who like did really problematic things that are pretty adjacent to rape.
That seems fair.
Yeah.
So
the listener probably is aware of that and probably doesn't like him for that fact.
Yeah, but just I don't know.
But there's also lots of other reasons to not like him.
Oh, sure, but he was controversial in like a way that people just, I don't know. He just got attention, right? Like he wasn't getting canceled or whatever.
No, he was like a shock jock musician, basically.
Right, exactly. But he literally had music videos with like women wearing blackface.
Yeah.
I think he wore black. Anyway, it's such a weird thing. This was like 15 years ago. Less than that, maybe.
Seems like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Anyway. So now we're inside the digital house that you're going to own. I mean, honestly, it'll probably turn into a renter situation.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody. Man, I'm probably like dating myself extremely here. I'm only 33, guys. But I don't know if anybody remembers Ultima Online, the first one, and there was a finite digital space, and you could buy plots of land to build on. And then what ended up happening is the game got really popular, and this finite area had already been taken over by people who were early players of the game.
Right, of course.
So you as a new player couldn't find a place to live anymore. You couldn't experience large parts of the game because you couldn't buy a house. So what you had to do is you essentially had to like pay rent to a feudal lord on the digital world to like use their like amenities and stuff, because there was like forges and stuff that you could build or whatever. I'm forgetting.
If you ever
specifics.
Want to respawn?
Yeah. I'm forgetting some specifics. I'm probably getting a couple of things wrong here, but like basically what it turned into was like this digital real estate market, and this is like, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago it feels like now, but that's what's going to happen here is
right.
you're going to rent a home that you live in, to sit in the corner with your VR headset on, to live in a world where you rent a home where you sit in the corner because you've been shadow banned and you're literally a shadow now. because
your account is tied to your social security number and your credit score keeps dropping
because you said something inappropriate, and by the way, everything's going to be moderated through automatic filters. So if enough people just report you, it'll just be part of the new algorithm that that thing that you said is bad, whether or not it's actually bad. Welcome to the metaverse.
Space from which you can teleport to anywhere you want.
Koi fish that fly? That's new.
This is wild.
The metaverse isn't something we're building so much
as
it's something we're building for.
Across the industry, we need to bring that same imagination and commitment to building for interoperability, openness, safety, and privacy as we do for all the other product aspects of the metaverse. These have to be fundamental building blocks, just like the other software and experiences that we've been talking about. Our hope, though, is that if we all work at it, then within the next decade, the metaverse will reach 1 billion people, host hundreds of billions of dollars of digital commerce, and support jobs for millions of creators and developers. We are fully committed to this. It is the next chapter of our work, and we believe for the internet overall. Beyond the constraints of screens, beyond the limits of distance and physics, beyond any one company, and that will be made by all of us. And I'm just incredibly energized to be on this journey with all of you. That was fun.
Good job, Mark.
So that's the metaverse.
It's just, yeah.
Astounding, right?
Yeah.
Like, he can't possibly believe what he's trying to sell.
No.
I just poured vodka on top of a drink that I already mixed.
Can he?
Let's go to the next link I had here.
Oh man.
Meta to continue use of facial recognition technology. So
well, you'd have to, right? Good thing it's racist, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of issues with facial recognition technology. One of the things that he brought up was, Meta is going to be able to like recognize people's facial expressions and transfer them onto their digital avatars. There's been lots of studies done on like the universality of expressions, I would guess, and computers can't accurately guess sometimes whether or not you're in pain or pleasure.
Yeah.
And it's never gotten any better than like sometimes it's right, lots of times it's wrong. They're not gonna make that better.
I am assuming ecstasy with 96% confidence. I will continue stabbing.
That was quite the strong.
It was a spicy one.
Yeah. Well, I poured the vodka on top because I was like, yeah, that's not enough vodka. I didn't say it. Man. So Facebook announced that it's going to get rid of its facial recognition technology. You might have noticed, I mean, you and I probably haven't noticed it because you and I live in like shitposty accounts that we don't have any like pictures of our faces usually.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah,
it's been a long time for me too.
It's been a long time since I let the
but what'll happen is, if one of your normie friends posts a picture of themselves with somebody else, Facebook's got facial recognition technology that kind of like matches up with your friends list and goes, oh, hey, I think that's so and so, and it'll recommend a tag. Right. Well, that's because they're like logging all of your facial biometrics.
Which is exactly why Facebook thinks that 96% of all the human race looks like characters out of Evangelion.
Because that's everyone's profile pictures.
Yeah.
So they announced that they're going to discontinue that on Facebook. They, however, omitted anything about Meta because, of course, they're going to use it in Meta. It's the new Meta, if you will.
That's pretty meta.
So that's cool. They're gonna scan your faces and like keep track of your biometric data while you're in Meta. Another thing is, and this is where we get into the crypto gang. So this is this is an article from Business Insider, and the headline is why NFTs and the metaverse will make you an owner, not just a renter on the internet.
Amazing. Absolutely incredible.
So the metaverse is going to support NFTs, and I guess it's going to be like a avatar customization method. Like, I own the NFT for the hat that says "Eat my dog shit" or whatever, and then it'll get shadow banned for that because "eat my dog shit" is a aggressive.
Yeah, because you're not allowed to talk about dogs anymore.
Yeah, I don't think I saw any pets in the metaverse. I saw some koi fish that were flying, and that was wild.
Yeah, that's new.
So yeah, anyways, the crypto folks are still huffing their meth. They think that NFTs are like the basic issue with something like an NFT is paper money is already not real. The money that is like kept in digit form, and you swipe your credit card or your debit card and you pay for something is like even less real. And then like Bitcoin is even less real than that. And NFTs are like, I've got a picture of a Pepe.
A rare one.
a rare one, and this is actually worth a lot of money.
Right. It's my problem with NFTs is that Neopets has already existed for decades.
Right. Yeah. No. There's like thousands of problems with NFTs, and I think the further abstraction of money is not a good thing in general. And really what money is like an abstraction of the material world, right? To begin with.
Right.
And the further we get away from that material world, the worse like currency is. Because you can literally just screenshot whatever is on the NFT link and now I own it too. What's your value? So interesting. On the subject of crypto, social
these
media,
crypto schemes are fucking awesome. They're so funny.
They're hilarious, except for the fact that they well, I don't know. Do we care that they're predatory?
I mean, we care. That sucks, but it's also very funny.
It is funny because normally who it predates on is like somebody who thinks they're very, very in the know, very self-sufficient. Like, I'm trading Binky Boinky coin, which is almost exactly what one of these cryptos is named. And if you're not trading Binky Boinky coin, you're behind the curve. Sorry, buddy. And then it turns out that it's a pump and dump scheme.
Right.
Kim Kardashian's made like $1 million saying, I believe in Binky Dinky coin. And you bought into it, and now you're out of all your money.
Right. Which is to illuminate this for anyone that may not be quite aware of how this works. The celebrities, it seems especially like YouTube celebrities, end up,
and Instagram,
right, end up linking onto these new cryptos that get put out, usually by a third party, and then they end up doing like these big, essentially like a sales conference type things, and they say, "Hey guys, everyone needs to buy this thing. We're going to gather people up, and we're going to buy a bunch of this coin. We're going to hold together.
This new altcoin."
Right. And we're all going to hold. We're all going to hold. And then as soon as a shit ton of people end up buying into it, and it ends up increasing the market volume, the people that were in there to begin with sell off all their shit, and just leave everyone with worthless coins. Hell yeah, it's very good. Good thing that like companies don't ever like buy up a bunch of their own stock and then sell it in real life.
Yeah, no, this is something that already happens quite a lot, but these pump and dump schemes with crypto are like way easier.
Yeah, and so, different to be fair from what I just said, but still like related.
Yeah, close enough. So there's this article on Mashable called "Inside the Shady World of Influencers Promoting Cryptocurrency." Turns out that many of them have been obviously paid to promote these altcoins. They have a huge financial stake in it, and then, like you said, once enough people buy into it, like the real money, and real is in quotation marks still at this point because it's like fiat currency being dumped into digital currency, and then you sell all that digital currency for the fiat currency that people dumped into it. Yeah, it's just and this is another, again, the rich trying to sell something to people that isn't real, doesn't actually work. I unfortunately know a lot of pop-ups. I unfortunately know like too many people that have gotten involved in crypto, and it's like they're not involved in such a way that they're like selling their homes or anything like that, but it's like, oh man, the $60 that I put in Shiba Inu is now worth $40, and this is like recurring over and over again. It's like, just don't like put your money in a fucking
in an index fund. Just
an index fund. Or just like if you want to fucking bet your money on something, just do it the old-fashioned way. Don't like this.
Right.
And you're in too late for the Bitcoin like millionaire phase of this.
Yeah. And I ultimately I'm I think I'm a little bit more, I wouldn't even say optimistic, but less cynical about cryptocurrency as like a broader concept than you are. But when it comes to like the proliferation of these like thousands of altcoins, like 99.9% of them are scams.
Yeah,
that's absolutely the case. And I think that like cryptocurrency and of course like blockchain and everything are really fascinating and potentially useful, and like the right thing happens and you could make money, but the same thing happens in Vegas or the stock market. So I mean,
yeah,
doesn't necessarily mean I'm in fact friendlier to the existence of cryptocurrency than I am to the existence of financial markets. So
no,
even though they're really the same thing in a way.
I think I would agree with that to some extent.
Yeah,
because financial markets are, I mean, financial markets are what ruined the crypto market times in the first place.
Yeah, sure.
They're obviously the older, greater evil. They're the old god evil of finance.
There's I don't know if you have this lined up, but now might be a good time to bring it up. And this may end up getting not working out, but part of what the legislative branch is working on right now is actual policy for making it illegal or at least taxed to go ahead and do like stock buybacks, which would be very good, but probably won't happen, or it'll be a really minor tax that ultimately doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't have that lined up.
Something we can talk about later, but I mean that's the basic fact of it there, because you know, people should probably realize that like one of the ways that companies like McDonald's are able to continue making as much money as they're making while their market share is shrinking, the amount of customers that they have are shrinking. They are spending less money on things like ingredients. They are, when it comes to inflation, they're spending less money on their people and their franchises in general. A lot of the franchises are in fact like more or less underwater. But the way that they continue to make more and more money is because they make all of those cuts and then they take the money that is gained through those cuts to perform stock buybacks. And stock buybacks end up artificially increasing the value of those stocks so that it becomes higher demand, of course, and then they can go ahead and sell the stocks and make more money. And of course, the people at the top, they don't really make their money off of things like salaries or anything like that. They make their money off of equity, off of owning stock, things like that. And so, I mean, McDonald's, I think, is one of the more like bizarre and interesting, kind of funny examples of it, simply because, you know, whenever anyone's talking about economics, they're like, yeah, but the Big Mac's going to cost more, which is just the funniest fucking example in the world, because it's so divorced.
Yeah, when anybody says that, I'm like, okay, you're not a serious person that understands.
Yeah,
how, like,
you have no idea what you're talking about.
Anything in this world works, because like, yeah, no, exactly what you're saying, where like all of this shit is like, it's completely divorced from reality. And again, you know, like I constantly just say like money's fake. You can't convince me otherwise. And this is exactly why money is fake, and you can't convince me otherwise, because they're inflating the value of their own shares by
devaluing it,
by devaluating them and then buying them, and like, yeah, no, it's
but kind of a cap to that micro rant would be that if you really care about things like the economic prosperity of, you know, populations of color or whatnot, something that you might want to give a shit about is something like the stock buyback schemes. So that these franchised spaces, which have, since like Nixon, have been spaces where, you know, they talk about, oh, black business owners. You mean like a franchise owner at McDonald's most of the time in like those circumstances when you're listing someone like Nixon. You should be caring more about these ways that larger predatory companies are able to hurt everyone that's part of their company in order to make more money, instead of focusing so much on the rest of this stupid bootstrap economic shit that we're fed all the time, like Uber Eats telling you to spend more money on like some this African American owned pizzeria or something. It's like, that's sure, do that if you want, but like that's not how you're gonna fix the fucking problem.
No. And
you're gonna fix the problem by well, you're never gonna fix the problem, but you're gonna help the problem by stopping things like stock buybacks.
Amazon rolled out this thing like a while ago, and I put it on the Instagram story, and it was like support Black businesses, like shop space on Amazon. And Amazon's only putting that out because they know that they can exploit this Black shop owner,
Right, of course.
It's not because they want that Black shop owner to succeed. And there is a certain like overlap of like, if I buy specifically from this Black shop owner, they're going to make more money. But ultimately what it is Amazon is doing this really shrewd maneuver to say, we support the Black business, buy from this Black business, and then they make the profits on the back end.
All they're saying is buy more stuff. That's it. That's right, the bottom line of it. And but I mean, the same thing is true for any company, if you end up thinking about it, which is like, oh, okay, well, I spent money at, I don't know, what's the most evil company outside of Amazon that you can think of? Fucking Nike, right? And sure, some of that money does in fact go towards feeding the families of some like child slave laborer or whatnot, but like that's still not a good reason to buy new Nike shoes.
Right. I'm gonna buy so many Nikes that everyone working in a sweatshop in China will be able to buy more food than they.
They're going to be able to have
which isn't how it works, because they're paid wages, and
right, exactly.
There's a reason they're paid wages and not a share of the company value. Oh, we're doing some Marxist.
There you go. And also, last thing about that is that I've seen, working for a lot of companies, where they they put a lot of pressure on their own employees to buy stock in the company, which of course like
inflates the value of the company.
Right, exactly. But also like I think there's going to be a stock market. People who actually hold stock in the company, like the people that work in the company, should be the people owning the stock.
Right.
And so there's something like that. But exactly what you just said. It's this other predatory way of saying, hey, how about you guys help us inflate our stock price while paying us for it?
While we continue to undervalue your contribution,
and we'll pay for 10% of it.
Yeah. Which still benefits.
Yeah, exactly. Insane. Yeah.
All right. So the next fake world that I'd like to dive into is
Congress.
Elon Musk
Oh.
and the Tesla bot, but also just Tesla projects in general. The Tesla bot to me is one of the funniest things that's ever happened.
It's very good.
And what's amazing is how many. I don't think they're actually genuinely sold on this, but it seems like a lot of news organizations are reporting like the Tesla bot will be real one day because Elon Musk said it's going to be.
How are these people getting away with that as a marketing scheme?
Because Elon Musk, Tesla, whatever, they announced that they're going to have a showcase for the Tesla bot. Everybody's very excited about this. They have some mock-up like teaser things that they do. Very impressive, sleek-looking robot. And then we have the actual reveal of the Tesla robot, which I will show you now.
Look, babe. One day, I know we're living on the couch right now at your godmother's. One day, I'm gonna be the owner of fucking McDonald's, and I'm gonna learn how to fuck. We're gonna have a baby. All right, all that stuff. Definitely, It's, in fact, I have such an intention for it to happen, it might as well already be true.
Yeah.
Let's get married.
So instead of if you build it, they will come. If you come it, they will build.
Yeah. I'll go to therapy one day, babe.
Yeah. Still haven't gone. So this is the Tesla robot reveal, Tesla bot.
How do people take this person seriously? The fucking truck in the mist.
Yeah, what's amazing is they have all these like really high resolution 3D renderings of this thing that they pop up on the screen, right?
I'm not gonna ruin it.
Oh wait, it's not real? Literally just a 3D model right now. And then we go into the actual...
It should at least be turning or something. Like, this is so awkward. Like, the still image with the music.
and then this is the real life version.
And what is it, Mike?
Which you may recognize as somebody in a not entirely well-fitting elastic suit dancing like a robot for a little bit and then goes into like more fluid movements.
Doing a terrible dance.
Yeah, not even like a good dancer either.
This is not a trained dancer. Just get a trained dancer.
So, we don't need to watch all of that.
I could dance better than that robot.
So yeah, no, exactly. I can actually with the money that I have in my bank account, I'm not a billionaire. I don't know if anybody
you could build this robot.
I could build the robot that's currently being showcased right now, which is I know people who are good dancers and I could pay them $200 and then I could also buy some kind of white jumpsuit to put them in.
I'm not shaving my beard.
You're not the dancer I know, so.
But one of the things that Elon Musk ended up saying about this later,
we will talk about that a little bit. Please go ahead.
Which is so good is someone was doing the normal spazzy thing and like brought up, well, what if this robot wants to kill you or whatever?
Of course, yeah.
And I don't even remember if someone brought it up or if he brought it up on his own. Knowing him, he may have just brought it up on his own. But he ends up saying, well, we've purposefully decided to make it so that this kind of robot like is too weak to kill you.
Yes.
And it's like
he brings that up on his own.
So you're gonna build this robot so that it can't do basic shit. It's gonna be weak and stupid, so it's gonna have what use? Like if it can open a jar of pickles, it can kill someone in their sleep.
Yeah. So again, we're returning to this idea of the cheesiest dystopia, right? Because this could be a dystopia if he had like a bunch of really impressive robots that like maybe could turn evil. But
it could be a dystopia if you just convince people that this was real and it isn't.
Yeah, no, but this is like, the budget dystopia. He literally paid somebody to come out on stage, do a pretty shit. I mean, it's better dancing than I can do, I'll admit right now. But it's not great dancing. Did I lose you? I think I lost you. Oh.
Did you?
No, you're frozen on the screen.
Okay. Oh, you're frozen on my screen. How weird. I think we pissed off Elon.
No, you're frozen on my screen.
No, you're frozen.
You pop back.
Okay.
So we're gonna go into Elon talking about that a little bit. So he basically like shoos the robot off the stage. We'll just go when he starts talking.
Rule 4 says I cannot kill you, Elon.
Now, unlike Dojo, obviously that was not real. So Dojo is real. The Tesla bot will be real.
No evidence that that's true.
No evidence. Yeah, this is all just lies by idiots.
But basically, if you think about what we're doing right now with the cars, Tesla is arguably the world's biggest robotics company because our cars are like semi-sentient robots on wheels.
Not true.
Not true. And
all of their self-driving stuff sucks.
Yeah. And also, I'll confess, I am a leather jacket guy, but you shouldn't be wearing one when you're on stage talking to people.
Well, and also he's a billionaire, and that's the best leather jacket he could find.
Right? Yeah. He's trying to look like cool and edgy. Like that's his attempt here. He should be wearing sunglasses. If he was wearing sunglasses, I'd give him points.
Yeah. and again, this whole display is being put on by a billionaire, and they can't even like give him good lighting.
Yeah, he looks dead.
Or like good sound. Like this is just so sad.
Yeah.
And so many news agencies have like bought into like the Tesla robot's coming one day.
Right.
And this is the like I would be embarrassed to put this on as a presentation as a poor person.
Yeah, where's his little clip-on mic?
Exactly.
What's going on here?
So easy
to
do that.
This could have the quality of a TED Talk. But it spend a couple $100.
With the full self-driving computer, essentially the inference engine on the car, which will keep evolving, obviously, and Dojo, and all the neural nets recognizing the world, understanding how to navigate through the world. It kind of makes sense to put that onto a humanoid form. And we're
Why?
Also at sensors and batteries and actuators. So we think we'll probably have a prototype sometime next year that basically looks like this. And
except it doesn't work.
Be friendly, of course. And navigate through a world built for humans.
Carry capacity 45 pounds. You can murder someone.
Dangerous, repetitive.
Deadlift 150? There you go.
We're setting it such that it is at a mechanical level, at a physical level, you can run away from it. And most likely overpower it. So hopefully that doesn't ever happen, but you never know.
It'll only kill people in wheelchairs.
So it's it'll be a light yeah, anyway, 5 miles an hour. If you can get run past it, that'll be fine.
So we won't listen to Elon Musk talk anymore because he's
a horrible
speaker.
Yeah.
And also he's just like saying the dumbest shit, and goddamn everybody who laughs at him in that audience, like he's not saying anything funny, guys. Please have some self-respect. All right, there's no applause like thing in the background telling you to like fake a laugh or fake a clap or whatever. Just don't do
also
it.
Why is he assuming that the most effective form of like locomotion and like lifting and shit looks like a little lady? Like it's not a gender thing, but looks like a person at all.
It does look like a
why should it look like a person?
Yeah.
Why should it be shaped like a human?
Yeah, and it does have like a vaguely feminine form to it.
Right. But like you'd assume that you would want, I don't know, if I was building this crazy robot to eliminate dangerous, repetitive, boring tasks, it would have 4 fucking arms. Well, it would probably have treads of some sort on its little feet. It would have all sorts of shit.
We already have drones like this in Amazon warehouses.
Right.
And they're built for boring, repetitive tasks.
Like this is only for fantasy.
Yes, it is only for fantasy.
There's no reason for any of this to be.
We'll go to the premier robotics company that's been working on making like vaguely humanoid robots for I think a decade or more now, and they're arguably the leaders in robotics, which is Boston Dynamics.
Yeah.
And this is their flagship robot platform, just eating shit all the time.
Octopus monkey, that's what I would build. nice.
So it falls, you know, it's doing some kind of acrobatic stuff, but it's not doing it well. It's just like fucking up everywhere. That time it's just walking. Trips all over the fucking place. Hoses are breaking and it's just falling over because pressure's been lost in its hydraulics. They're having to constantly repair it, constantly having to wheel it in and out. And then you know, we go into, okay, so that's not very impressive to see this robot fail all the time. We've seen videos of these robots like doing successful parkour routines or whatever, but how is that actually achieved? And it turns out that it's all
men in suits.
It's all pre-programmed is what it is.
Right, yeah.
It can be frustrating sometimes. The robots crash a lot. It's not the robot just magically deciding to do parkour. It's kind of a choreographed routine, much like, you know, a skateboard video or a parkour video where, you know, it's an athlete that's practiced these moves dozens or hundreds of times even to get to that, you know, that high level, that exciting, you know, capability. So we're kind of doing the same thing here with Atlas. You know, we're exploring, you know, how to push it to its limits, sometimes operating at.
So all of that, whenever it's successful, is pre-programmed. And I will also bring up the fact that the self-driving Tesla cars crash all the time. They fuck up all the time. You can add like one piece of duct tape to a road sign, and now it thinks that 35 is actually 85. Because
and I'm assuming that like the Tesla system, as well as maybe some of these, are like even still like not just pre-programmed in the sense of you will take this step then and here's some math, but probably have some kind of like neural network stuff going on as well in order to like learn better ways of taking these steps. But even then, like, they suck.
Yeah, even then they suck, and the problem is that they're incredibly unreliable. And when you're working with something like driving, right, everything in driving has specific lines and markers, and the Tesla cars still don't do well with them. Like, everything is delineated, everything is basically lined out per law, and Tesla cars still have trouble with that. How are you going to, using that same technology, using all those same platforms, making them better with whatever their dojo chip is, which is just like some bullshit thing that they made up? How are you going to make that work in a household where you now have a robot that's working in tight confined spaces that aren't, you know, always uniform and can be wildly different from each other? And now it's like, oh, my task is feed the baby, and it's just like a robot just beating the shit out of the baby with a bottle, like trying to find the mouth, but it can't quite get the mouth.
Like, I wouldn't even necessarily trust a lot of these systems to navigate like a poorly maintained infrastructural space, right? Where it's like, oh, we haven't redone the road paint in like a few years.
So that's exactly what the problem with the self-driving cars is. If they
doesn't know what to do with potholes.
If they find any circumstance that doesn't fit to extremely like limited parameters, they start fucking up. And that's exactly what's going to happen with a Tesla robot. In fact, a German court, this is last year, German court rules that Tesla misled consumers on autopilot and full self-driving. So basically, this has been proven in court that Tesla's little cars don't drive as well as they're selling them to drive. And now you're going to put that into a robot, miniaturize it in such a way that it's going to fit inside of a house, and trust a robot that can lift 45 pounds to not fuck up everything in your house.
You're going to give it thumbs? You're going to give the car thumbs?
You're going to give the car thumbs and trust it? I don't think so. So, again, a cheesy dystopia where the robots that are going to kill us aren't even going to be that good. This isn't the first time that Elon Musk has like made up some bullshit and like way undersold it. There's the Hyperloop in Las Vegas, which was like originally sold as like a hydraulic a high-speed rail system that would.
Was it hydraulic or was it like electromagnetic?
I believe it was hydraulic.
Oh my god. Okay.
Let's see.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It's all fake.
Yeah, it's all fake, of course.
He might have said both at some point, where he was just changing his story. But
okay, yeah. So let's be very clear. This article is from the Next Web, and it's I asked for a hyperloop, but all I got was a boring tunnel in Las Vegas. So the segment, we were promised a hyperloop, not a boring tunnel. Let's be very clear. The word hyperloop is largely absent from the conversation. We've been promised a hydraulic propulsion in a pod through a tube at lightning speed. However, the reality is a lift in a Tesla, and not even an autonomous one at that. It's hardly earth-shattering. So they literally just have Teslas in an underground tunnel, driving at slow speeds through these tunnels. They're not self-driving. They're being driven by people.
And the driver still talks to you the whole time.
The driver still talks
to you. You have a
to
hangover.
Yeah, and you know, essentially, you know, there's some logistical issues to this, which is it's a very small tunnel that can only fit one car in it. If one of those cars happens to break down, catch on fire, which does happen to Teslas, you're now stuck in a very small tunnel. Nobody can get around you. You know, if you've got a couple of cars in a row, one breaks down, all the cars either in front or in back have to go forward and clear the line, or go backward and clear the line.
I got a crazy idea just now. I'm sure someone's thought of this at some point, but I mean, you know, it might be too crazy. But what we do is we do build these underground tunnels.
Okay.
And we essentially put like trains in them, and they go it'll be like a roadway, right? And it'll be beneath.
Yeah.
So it'll be like a
subterranean
subterranean way. A subway, like the sandwich.
Oh yes, like the sandwich. Yeah, which fits directly into my asshole, which is why they call it a subway.
Yeah,
because it's the way of the sub is to shove an ass.
The sandwich up your ass.
I'm the bottom in this.
You're a little bottom boy.
Anyways, yeah. So the hyperloop ended up being worse than a subway.
Yeah. I mean, obviously,
which is technology that has existed for quite some time.
For so long, like a weirdly long amount of time.
And he sold this idea to Las Vegas for $48.7 million contract to design and construct a loop system for the Las Vegas Convention Center. And what ended up happening is all they did was create a underground Uber system that isn't even like efficient, effective, better than a subway.
That's so good.
Let's move on to robot dogs. This is another dystopia that we're being sold. Is that an autonomous robot dog is going to shoot.
I mean, if anything's going to shoot me to death, it might as well be an autonomous robot dog.
Well, here's the problem. It's not going to be autonomous.
No.
It's going to be piloted by the same guy who would shoot an unarmed black kid in any other regular circumstance.
To be fair, all of our facial detection technologies would have done the exact same thing.
Yes. But you know, there's no way that this is just gonna like walk around and operate on its own and like create its own system of law or whatever. It's just gonna be some fucking shitty high school dropout that managed to get a gun and a badge, and now he's got an Xbox controller that he pilots his fucking dog with, and the dog's gonna shoot you. But really, who's behind it is some guy like 1.5 miles away, sitting in a control center, eating some fucking Doritos and drinking some Mountain Dew, smearing it on his shabby uniform because he doesn't care anymore because they don't do inspections on his uniform. They just care about whether or not the robot dog with a fucking gun on its back can shoot properly.
They've just checked his metrics once a week to see how many rounds he used.
Yeah, exactly. No unreported firings, and that's the only metric they're using is unreported firings.
Disappointing.
As long as he reports the firings, he's fine.
Yeah. How is it that we live in like an unimaginative, shitty version of a Paul Verhoeven movie?
That's what I'm saying. This is all just cheesy, shitty dystopia.
It's RoboCop without anything.
Without all the cool shit about RoboCop.
Yeah, it's there you go. It's RoboCop as like a skin that you get out of a loot box.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what it is. So, you know, people freaked out. Why did I get
Skyrim? Sorry.
No, it's okay. People freaked out because they saw this image of the robot dog with
and it's creepy
on it. And it is creepy, and it is something to be concerned about. But what like most people were concerned about is like, how is the dog gonna know who to shoot? And it's like, well, that's not the problem, buddy. The problem is that the dog is going to be piloted by somebody who doesn't know who to shoot.
Look, but drones have amazing efficacy.
Yeah, only 90% of all drone targets were the unintended target. So, dude, that means 10% success, and I'm willing to take those losses.
This is so viewing this from the perspective of Empire, right?
Yeah.
Where one would assume that the way these people are thinking about it are like, hey, this worked fine in Iraq, let's use it here.
Yeah, let's use it domestically. So we're killing our own people now.
Right, and I think the way they're thinking of it in a weird way is like with animal testing. But imagine having a shampoo that made 99% of rabbits explode and then being like, that's good enough.
To prove my point on whether or not this is going to be autonomous, this is the Sword Defense Systems website who makes this atrocity. And the Sword Defense Systems special purpose unmanned rifle Spur was specifically designed to offer precision fire from unmanned platforms such as Ghost Robotics Vision 60 Quadruped, featuring safe, chamber, clear, and fire capabilities that allows for safe and reliable deployment of the weapon system, providing the operator, there's the keyword, the operator, an ability to load and safe the weapon at a distance. These features also provide the operator the ability to clear malfunctions and safely unload the platform prior to recovery. Goes into it's using a 7.62x51 NATO cartridge, pretty fucking heavy round actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's gonna be operated by some guy, and that guy is gonna be a racist or not a racist, but will still just have free license to kill a black person anyways. Or a white person, they can do whatever they want.
That's fair. I'm just, this is better than a gun. This is better than just walking around with a gun.
Well, see, this is the argument I make about drones too, is like, if you're going to commit to killing somebody, you should have to be there for it.
Yeah, you should have to look at them.
Yeah, at the very least, like, you can't just treat it like a video game where you're not there. You're not like actually engaging with them. You should have to get some blood on your hands. Some actual literal blood on your hands.
In the metaverse, I'm assuming that the Spur is going to look just like a dog.
This is going to be a meta game, or not a meta game, a mini game in the metaverse.
Yeah, it's just going to be a dog with bees in its mouth, and when it barks, it shoots bees at you.
Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna alternate reality through the metaverse.
Yeah.
Operation of the Spur, and they're gonna make it so that like when you're operating the Spur, all of the minorities in a region who are living in the real world because they don't have enough money for the VR headset that everyone else is living in, all all of the minorities in this area are going to be reskinned to look like deranged jokers with guns.
There you go.
And you're going to be Batman firing batarangs at them.
And but also knowing that it is the metaverse, they will have blood turned off in most sectors.
Yeah, blood will be turned off, of course.
Every time you shoot someone, it's just going to shoot like rainbows and stars out of the back of their heads.
Well, they won't have the tracking capability for that. So what will happen is it'll just be like a big overlay of like the old Batman, like bam, blammo.
And then someone will just get a little hazy and then disappear. Okay, just turn to static and melt. Yeah. Bless.
Could we take like a 5-minute break?
Do it.
And we've got the cube coming up, which I think is
hell yeah,
gonna be quite the topic. So we'll just go ahead and pause it right here. All right, we are back from a little pee-pee break.
Pee-pee. Where is it stored?
It's in the orbs. That's
Thank you.
Where it's stored. Yeah, I keep track. I don't always like your posts because sometimes I forget to like them.
And because they're not likable.
No. They're all pretty likable. Yeah, I just scroll sometimes and I forget to like stop and like hit the button.
A lot of orbs going on though.
But I do see all of your posts because I'm curating whatever you do, and if you ever step out of line, I will reprimand you appropriately. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So our next topic is the University of California, Santa Barbara. I think it's Munger Hall is what they're calling it. And in as much as we can imagine the idea of living in the pod and eating the bugs, this is it. And this is supposed to be a dormitory for students attending UCSB. The first article we'll look at is from the Santa Barbara Independent, which is architect resigns in protest over UCSB megadorm, criticizes Munger Hall as a social and psychological experiment with unknown consequence.
Okay, I have seen. Yeah.
I was surprised that you hadn't, because you have some connection here. I would suppose. Like, wait, no, you went to Berkeley, not
UCSB. Not Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara is the dumb party school. It's a very good school.
Well, it's gonna be the hell school soon.
That's so funny, dude. How big are those rooms?
So yeah, we'll get into that in a second.
I want to hear the specs.
We'll get into the specs in a second. So a consulting architect on UCSB's design review committee has quit his post in protest over the university's proposed Munger Hall project, calling the massive, mostly windowless dormitory plan unsupportable from my perspective as an architect, a parent, and a human being. He's not wrong on any of those levels.
Damn.
In his October 25th resignation letter to UCSB campus architect Julie Hendricks, Dennis McFadden, a well-respected Southern California architect with 15 years on the committee, goes scorched earth on the radical new building concept, which calls for an 11-story, 1.68 million square foot structure that would house up to 4,500 students, 94% of whom would not have windows in their small single occupancy bedrooms.
Jesus.
The idea was conceived by 97-year-old billionaire investor turned amateur architect Charles Munger, who donated $200 million towards the project with the condition that his blueprints be followed exactly. Munger maintains the small living quarters would coax residents out of their rooms and into larger common areas where they could interact and collaborate. He also argues the off-site prefabrication of standardized building elements, the 9 residential levels featured in the 9 residential levels feature identical floor plans, would save on construction costs. The entire proposal, which comes as UCSB desperately attempts to add to its overstretched housing stock, is budgeted somewhere in the range of $1.5 billion. He's only donating $200 million to this $1.5 billion project,
and demanding
that they follow his plans to the letter. And UCSB has not only agreed to this, but after weeks of backlash, has stood by it.
Amazing.
So we have a little sample of a floor right here, but we'll go into the deeper article, which really shows just how bad this is. So this is an article. It's by Lloyd Alter, but it features a bunch of work by a gentleman named Alfred Twu, who There's Your Problem podcast did an episode on this building. I'm gonna steal a little bit from them, but also give my own input on it. But they actually had Alfred Twu on their podcast, who talked about like just how fucking obscene this building plan is. So we'll go ahead and look at the first floor here.
Oh my God!
Strain your eyes. So this is the first floor. And starting at the top left, we have a couple of apartments, which I guess are the windowed apartments that students will have. And I don't know what you have to do to qualify for these like apartments that are on the outer edges of the building on the first floor, but I assume they're going to be like exorbitantly expensive compared to the pods that everybody else will be living in.
Right.
So from the top left, you have a couple of apartments. You have a staging room, a TBD room, which is always great to see in a building where they don't know what a room is going to be used for. Custodial, a lock shop, which I guess is just going to be like doing the work of like replacing all the locks that get broken as people desperately try to escape their fucking pods. Mail package room. There's some trash on the bottom floor, which one of our friends, I was going over this with our friend Jay, and she noted after we looked at it for a while that there's no like trash receptacles on any other floor than the first floor.
Damn. Is it just through chutes?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. You've got something called the North Lobby, which is this very sparse area. And mind you, this is going to house 4,500 people.
Yeah, I'm trying to do math right now.
And there's like maybe seating for 40 people in this North Lobby.
Right.
You've got the market, which I assume is just going to be like overpriced, like microwavable food shit. A prep area. I don't know. Staging, food service staging, food lockers, which I think means that they're going to like...
Lockers for the people working in the market?
No, I think what it is they're planning on like you being able to order food in advance and somebody just puts it in a locker for you and you go down to it and grab it. Women's and men's restrooms. Can't make out what's in here. Giant electrical room, of course. Mechanical rooms all on the Okay, well yeah, if that's north and that's
but
south,
Mike,
so that's
there's a 40-seat theater.
We're coming back around to all that. So the entire west end of the building is all mechanical rooms, which is probably going to make these apartments over here like hell to live in, because you're going to hear like constant chiller rumble, pumping room turmoil, whatever. So then you have like more mechanical rooms in the center, which are butted up against staff offices, which I can tell you from personal experience always works out really well when you have really loud mechanical rooms and staff offices right next door. And this whole like west end of offices right here is just going to have constant like machine rumble in the background, and it's going to drive them fucking crazy. You have an e-tech room. I don't know what that is. Impo, which is main point of entry. That's where all your data lines are going to be run through. So that's like the data inlet of everything. Elevators in the center. Looks like you have 2 service elevators and then 5 regular elevators on either side of the main corridor. Multi-purpose study rooms. Again, 4,500 people in this building. Do you count, I don't know, more than 100 seats in this multi-purpose study room?
I'm guessing there's probably like 100 on either side, so there's like 200. I'm just basing it off of the size of the theater.
Yeah, I guess.
But
More
even that, like, that's
mechanical
still
rooms.
nowhere near enough.
Mechanical rooms butted up on apartments again. Always a great idea.
Right.
We drop down. You got more restrooms, apartments, blah blah blah. The theater with 40 seats. Again, out of 4,500 students, you have 40 seats in a theater.
Man, I'm so excited to see as we go further up. I want to see how cramped.
Yeah. So this is just the first floor. This is like where a lot of the action is gonna happen. You got bakery prep, copy center, maintenance. I can tell you from personal experience. I don't know what this maintenance area is supposed to represent.
It has mops in it. It is mops.
Yeah. The shop area is smaller than it should be. I mean, this is something that's overlooked in every building plan. Is nobody ever like? And again, I'm coming at this from the perspective of I've worked in building maintenance for 10 years now. The maintenance shop in these kind of buildings or any kind of building really, is never what you need it to be.
Yeah.
Obviously, comically like undersized for the scope of the building.
It's apparently the size of a tiny apartment.
Yeah, exactly. It's barely the size of a tiny apartment, and it's supposed to be servicing 11 floors of building.
It looks like the shop portion is the size of one of the apartment closets.
Yeah. Not great.
You can fit one circular saw, but you're not able to move around it.
Right, because of OSHA. We go directly south from that maintenance area, and you got a laundry room. That's cool. To the right of it, 570 surfboards.
Oh my god, that's actually what that says.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't lie to you.
I couldn't read it. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Wow.
Sorry if the video quality isn't good. But no, it's literally a room where 570 surfboards will be stored. It is not a rental area, as far as I know. It is a place where you, as a student, can check in and out your surfboard because you can't fit it in your pod room, which you'll see soon.
Santa Barbara fucking sucks.
Sure does. You have
it's actually a lovely town.
Security has a bigger office space than the maintenance area, which actually has to work on physical things. Like pre-building, like wall replacements sometimes is something that I've experienced in the maintenance world.
But the security guys have significantly higher BMI, so
true. You got the south lobby, which has a bakery.
It's actually kind of cruel putting the bakery and the stairs that close to security.
I know, right? They're gonna have to like constantly resist the urge to get donuts.
Yeah. And always resist the urge to take the stairs. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. So that's the first floor building plan. Obviously, already we're like, man, that sucks.
Yeah. It's like almost fun. It's such that it seems. Oh god. It seems extraordinarily painful in like I almost envy the camaraderie that must be experienced in having to live there. You know, it's like the fantasy of getting lost like in the woods with your favorite people.
Yeah, but the woods are spacious.
And also you never like the people that you live with in college.
Yeah. So
yeah, maybe you do. Do all the floors above that look like this?
Yeah. All the way up until the 11th floor, which is like a hangout spot. So let's go over the basic construction of this nightmare. You have the main building corridor down the center here, right? And on either side, you have 4 what's being called houses.
Because it's Harry Potter. Which one's Gryffindor?
So they're having to invent new wizarding schools because there's only 4 in Harry Potter.
I think so, yeah.
But there's 8.
It's the political compass.
Yeah, there's 8 per floor. in this building. Which
okay, actually,
let's go ahead and hit up problem number 1, which is left to right. It goes house 2 to house 1. Like, just what's stopping you from making left to right house 1 and then house 2? Don't bother counting. I already counted it. There are, per each house section,
it's 8 by 8, so there's 64. 64 yeah, 64 pods. Times 8
is 512, I think. 456 is one of those two.
Times 8.
I did about the math.
I'm just plugging it into everything else.
Yeah, no, please do it. I forgot what my figures were. I think it's 456 or 512.
Jesus. Times, and there's 8 residential floors.
There's the first floor, and then there's 10 residential floors.
No, but you said the top floor is not residential, right?
Yeah, there's 10 residential floors, and then the 11th floor is like.
Yeah, but the first floor is functionally non-residential.
Okay, yeah, you're right. So there's only 9 of residential floors.
9, right? So that's not cutting out the space for hallways and all that shit. So we should probably do that as well. So times 0.6. Let's do that, because there's the space between each of the dorms. This is conservative. It should probably be like 0.5. Okay. I need to see more to figure out what else to subtract.
Yeah, no, there's math on this. Don't worry about the math on this, really.
Yeah, but I'm having fun.
For sure. So basically, there's for each house there's 64 pods, right? And on the extreme end of each house.
Imagine 9/11
from the center.
This thing.
Yeah, well, I would like to. I think. On the far end of each house is this area which is being called the Great Room, which is where they're trying to get everybody to congregate together. So you and 64 strangers live in these pods. The pods are in sections of 8 roommates, and then you've got this thing at the end which has like a hangout spot, a kitchen, proper kitchen, and a game room. But there's 64 of you that are going to hang out in the spot. So already like awkward, weird. The density of the population in these areas is like mismatched to the size of the locations. The only way that you're going to get natural sunlight, especially if you're in one of those middle pods, the only way that you're going to get natural sunlight is if you go to this Great Room, because that's the only room that has like, I think some of these pod rooms on the very far end have windows, it looks like.
Man, this place must smell so good.
Yeah, it's going to smell so good. It doesn't exist yet.
Where the fuck are the showers?
Well, I'll show you that.
Oh my god.
So we'll go to the next graphic. So this is what an individual house looks like.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
So you've got they're calling this main walkthrough the gallery.
Oh, does it give the dimensions for the rooms?
It does give the dimensions.
Oh, hell yeah, 10 by 7. I was so close.
10 by 7 rooms. 10 by 7 rooms.
10 by 8. I thought they were going to be 10 by 8. So I was so close. My math was.
You know what? Give yourself a pat on the back. You figured out Dystopia.
That's a nightmare. 10
So
by 7. Well, yeah.
So let's go ahead and focus on this top left pod right here.
Okay.
You've got 8 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. So you got the bathroom.
I didn't take anything out for the bathrooms.
The shower is in the back here on both sides.
Oh no.
In the center, you have what's being called the study room. You would think that this is like the dining room. No, sir. This is the study room.
No, that's where you have all your fights.
Yes. Yes, we'll go into that in a second. So this is what a pod looks like. Is you've got 5 rooms on one side, 3 rooms on the other, with bathrooms between them all. And then in the center you have this long hall sort of like table with 8 chairs, so everybody can sit together in absolute misery. In the hallway, which is being called the gallery, because I assume you're just gonna look in on these rooms as like some kind of art project. And then at the
Our
end,
97-year-old super genius will.
Yeah, we should actually take a look at Charlie Munger.
By the way, so that's 64 people per kitchen if there isn't. Oh, Jesus. He's exactly what I thought he looked like.
This is not a corpse.
Allegedly.
This is
Might
a
be
man
Weekend at
named
Bernie's
Charlie
thing.
Munger.
So 64 people per each of these kitchens, right?
Yes, exactly. So you
and
have
how many college students do their dishes?
Which is something that I would like to get into as well. They're outside of individual bedroom cabinets. There's no centralized like custodial on any of these floors. The only custodial room we've seen is on the first floor. So that means that the entire custodial operation, I assume at least these common areas are going to be serviced by a custodial crew and not relied on to be serviced by the students who have no investment in cleaning up 64 people's shit. It's going to be handled by a custodial crew, hopefully. We don't know that. We don't know what the fucking plan is here. But then you have this great room, which doesn't have enough seating for everybody to start off with. And secondly, like this game room, pretty small. You've got 2 single toilet rooms here. They're not male and female toilets, so like multiple people can use them. And I'm not trying to ascribe to like a false binary here or anything, but just like
but
the basic idea that multiple use restrooms would be better when you've got, let's say, half of the house congregates into this great room because they want sunlight. That's 32 people, and you've only got 2 restrooms for them. I don't know how many house parties you've been to, but 2 restrooms isn't enough for like 18 people, let alone 32 people, you know?
Yeah. Man, there is someone vomiting into each of these toilets.
Exactly.
All of them.
Everybody's getting drunk because everybody's miserable, and I'll show you why everybody's miserable. Let's go to a cutout of the room.
Oh my god. With your little prefab desk and everything in there. Yeah, dude, that's
So this is what it looks like at a isometric view, I guess.
Your door opens into your bed.
We're playing Diablo. Your character's trying to go through these doors. It keeps getting stuck on the terrain here. Another thing that Jay pointed out was accessibility for disabled people. Like,
oh god, yeah.
What a fucking nightmare.
Well, that's why they get to live next to the boiler room.
Yeah, if they're lucky. So this is called a bedroom cluster, and that's their terms, not mine.
Oh, shut up.
A bedroom cluster. So let's go ahead and just like take a quick little overview. All the beds are against this far wall. Everybody's basically just sleeping head to toe on these walls. They've got very minimal. They've got a little desk. They've got a little bookshelf. They got a couple of little cabinets which they can maybe fit, I don't know, a week's worth of clothes in. In the center area, you have the study room table where everybody's just kind of like sitting elbow to elbow, probably trying to eat cereal, because I don't imagine that studying elbow to elbow with other people. I've been in some various academic environments, and when I like to study, I don't like to be nudging up on somebody the whole time. You've got this inexplicable bar here. I don't know what that's supposed to do. There's no seating for it because there's no room for seating for it. It doesn't.
Yeah, like this implies that like 3 of the people live in the kitchen.
Pretty much, yeah.
Or whatever the fuck that is.
Because if you live in this room on the left, the top left, you're constantly hearing the compressor of this refrigerator click on and off.
Well, worse than that, if someone opens up the fridge, they can lock you in your room.
Which is the other problem that I was going to get into. And then, you know, you've got this guy on the top right that's just constantly hearing the sink whenever it runs. There's no oven range in here. I think this is a dishwasher from as best as I can tell.
Yeah. It's like a standard dorm hot plate / microwave kitchen.
Yeah. So somewhere in here would be a microwave, I assume. This is where a TV goes, so only half of the room can watch TV.
I cannot believe what it must be like to share that space. This micro horrible, right? Apartment between 8 roommates, dude.
8 roommates.
8 people total, 7 roommates just in here. And then in order to leave, you leave into just hundreds more of those.
Yeah. And like
this is the movie
these middle rooms here. I guess the right side doesn't matter because that's restrooms. These middle rooms here, you walk directly into somebody that might be just sitting in a chair like outside your room. Getting to the bathroom, like I mean, given the dimensions, somebody's gonna have to scooch their chair in just so you can take a piss.
And even
scooch
if
their chair in
we
just
know
so
that
you can get out of the fucking house,
right?
Or sorry, bedroom cluster.
Pod cluster, yeah. And assuming that all the beds are twins, which they have to be, there's no way they're giving them bigger beds. Twins are like just under 2 feet wide.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so that, I mean, we can see it on the screen, but for anyone that's just listening, taking up the 2 by 8 or whatever. Yeah, I guess the 2 by 7 in that room, and then having this big ass not even big for the room, prefab desk and everything. Like I lived when I was going to Berkeley, I lived in a prefab building that was like a micro version of this, where you only had there were only 2 people per each of these. You know, it made sense as an apartment kind of.
Right.
But the rooms themselves were about this size, I want to say. And it is hard to describe how depressing living in that small of a space is. Like, I don't require that much space ultimately. Like, I'm pretty happy in small apartments and stuff like that. But being stuck in this itsy bitsy little room, mine had a window to the outside too. But being stuck in this little room with this prefab, everything's really fucking smooth. Just, it's so unsettling and weird and dark, and God, count the suicides. Just amazing.
So, you mentioned windows. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I've been chomping at the bit to mention the windows. Do you see these white bars in every room?
Are those just LEDs?
These are artificial windows. That is their solution, because this is not the first building that Charlie Munger has forced on a university. I believe it's the University of Michigan. He also made a similar design. The rooms were a little bit bigger, which, amazing. He found a way to make them smaller. However, one of the major complaints is, and especially over, you know, the pandemic where everybody's on lockdown,
everyone died from vitamin D deficiency.
Well, that's the thing, is
they all turned into bad people and drank one another's blood.
Charlie Munger in interviews has admitted one of his major oversights was not having artificial windows in the rooms. So what students ended up having to do in the University of Michigan, and I'm sorry if I'm getting the wrong university here, but I believe that's the right one. they had to install their own sun lamps, so they felt like they had experienced any kind of daylight while they were in lockdown. But now it's being built into the system. You've got a little fake window that follows a circadian rhythm of like brightening in the morning and going dim at night. And from a maintenance perspective, I can tell you that all these are going to need to be replaced in like 2 years. And so you're gonna have students living in absolute fucking darkness sometimes because they don't even have their stupid fucking fake window light.
And how much is that window light really gonna help?
Not at all, because it turns out that the lumen value of sunlight is incredibly high versus what can be achieved through artificial means.
Yeah. So let's be real. I'm not getting any of my vitamin D from my fucking computer screen.
Exactly. So. Yeah. Let's continue on. This is like a inside view of the cluster, the bedroom cluster.
Windowless study area and bedroom cluster.
You'll notice that they've got a basketball game on the TV over there. Very
so cool. They can remember what it feels like to move your body.
Yeah. And so essentially what you're gonna have is you maybe you live in this room right here. And, what's gonna happen every morning is somewhere around 6:30 a.m. your window light starts brightening, and then you spend an hour crying in your bed as it slowly turns into daylight. And around 7:30 you gain the courage to open up your door, and awaiting you outside of your door is 7 other people who have gone through the same process. who all have red eyes from crying, and they're all depressed, and they're all like 130th in line for the psychologist on site. That's a thing, by the way. We'll get into that later. Yeah, only some of them can see the TV, so they're getting a little bit of entertainment, but everybody on this side's just like staring into their bowl of Cheerios, trying not to cry, thinking about their next test, probably
having fist fights over whose seat is whose.
Yeah.
I'm also assuming, just based on my own experience and also based on the fact that there are these artificial window lights
which
in
yes,
there.
At the very end of this bedroom cluster is another artificial window.
Yeah. But I assume that the lighting in each of these rooms, regardless of this mock-up, is probably going to be very, very minimal.
Well, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Why would we trust this? I mean, yeah. You've got a bunch of can lights. Can lights go out all the time.
Yeah.
The maintenance, like upkeep of them, is going to be extensive, so it's not going to be this bright because, like, I don't know. Let's just estimate a quarter of them will be out various locations.
And they also just want to cut costs, and they also probably want to make it like fake green, and so a lot of it's going to be pretty low output. And again, like just from experience living in these prefab like dorm spaces, and so I can imagine that this is a cave.
Mm-hmm.
This is really just a cave. And also, like, maybe let's not put in something to artificially force circadian rhythm onto people who were up all night fucking cramming or partying because they're from Santa Barbara anyway. Like
various reasons you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
This is a view of a bedroom.
Amazing.
Says all it needs.
That is a big ass light.
Yeah, there is a big ass light which you can presumably turn off and on. There's a little reading light above the bedroom.
Bed. You know that thing sucks. That thing's already broken.
I one of the fire stations that I work on has very similar lights.
Yeah,
and they're all fucked up because.
Of course, I've never met a reading light that has like worked for longer than like a month and a half.
Yeah, no, because people, when they're trying to relax at the end of the day, they like sit up in their bed, and if it's like a tall person, their fucking shoulder's gonna be in the fucking joint here where the light comes out.
Yeah, no side sleepers allowed.
Yeah, there's so many reasons why this is just a dumb idea. Obviously the desk is nothing. The little cabinet that you get here for your I guess clothes is like also nothing. There's some under bed storage, but like, what are you really gonna do with that?
Yeah, you can't open half of it because shit's in the way.
Because you got to move your fucking chair to open it.
You have to take apart your IKEA desk in order to get into
it. So that's a typical private bedroom. So this is the top floor.
Oh my god, it's one of those fucking buildings.
It's one of those fucking
the trees and shit on top.
You got your landscape courtyard in the center, the elevator lobby that comes up in the center.
Let's go fitness center that smells just slightly better than the bedrooms.
Yeah, and this is all open air, so that's great. Top left, we have a reading room. Again, 4,500 people are going to be stored in this facility. And the reading room can maybe support like 100 people ish, somewhere around there.
I mean, based on that image, it's that seems very bad. I mean, what's gonna have worse? Why is there a classroom in there? That's scary.
We haven't gotten. We're going left to right, and you skipped over some stuff.
Sorry, I was just looking at the video conferencing gaming room, and I'm thinking like, what is going to cause more like weird conflict, the gaming room or the reading room? I'm not sure. Like that's going to be bad.
Yeah, no, it's not good. Which thankfully directly adjacent to the video conferencing and gaming room is the council and psych.
So every time they hear like someone call someone the N-word over Xbox Live, they get dragged back into counseling.
Student number, please report to the council and psych room.
You broke another controller today.
Yeah, so the first thing to note about the council and psych room is that it's not enough space for how many people are gonna need some counseling. No. But thankfully right next to the stairs, which you can just walk past to jump off this ledge here.
Right. I was thinking, just throw yourself down.
Yeah. So this is the 11th floor, by the way, 11th floor plan.
Juice bar. Of course, it has a juice bar. I'm sorry, gastropub. This is a nightmare.
This is a nightmare.
This is supposed to be the selling point.
Let's go left to right. Though.
I'm sorry, man. I can't.
From the council and psych, we have the multi-purpose classroom, which doesn't look like it could seat maybe 1/10 of the building in it.
Why? Yeah, why is that there?
On the side of it, you have storage for the classroom, a lobby for the classroom. I don't know. Another reading room. Good. Thank goodness for that. We'll just go catty corner all the way to the demonstration kitchen.
Hell
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, cooking class.
I guess. The entire east wing is basically just fitness center at this point, so we can just go, oh, okay, cool. Gave him some bikes. Gastropub. Who is going to own and operate the gastropub? I don't think anybody knows.
Ununionized students.
I don't know what this floor plan is, where you just have like a single bar in the center and nothing outside of it. Like there's no like specifically delineated kitchen area or anything.
Yeah.
I guess whoever comes into the gastropub will figure that out. But
it's gonna be just like the rest of the food that you eat here. It's all gonna be microwaved.
Yeah, and the thing is that it's butted up against a stairwell, and the elevators are very far away from it. So either they're gonna carry up all the food through the stairwell, or they're gonna go through the elevator and wheel it like through this whole entire awkward area that's like intentionally like broken up, so it's like interesting to walk through, but it's not gonna be fun to like wheel hundreds of pounds of food and maybe booze through.
Right.
another reading room in the bottom left here, a recreation room where you and 4,500 other people can talk about the misery of living in this area. And then you have the cafe, juice bar, grab and go market on the top floor of an 11-story building.
So a 7-Eleven with a juice bar.
A 7-Eleven with a juice bar, but instead of being at the ground floor where like you would presumably like actually be grabbing and going, you have to go to the top floor of the building in order to grab, and then go to the bottom floor of the building to escape the nightmare that you live in.
That rules. That's very good.
And
very, very good.
UCSB has doubled down on approving this plan. So it's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
And it'll be the worst thing that happened since 9/11, which should happen to this building.
And carbon monoxide leak is going to take out all the people that haven't died from COVID.
Well, and that's another one of the things is the incredibly dodgy. So, you have building codes with prisons, and building codes with prisons, state that you have to have a window in every prison room, right?
Right.
Well, this isn't a prison, so prison rules don't apply to it.
Yeah.
And that's how they're getting away with a lot of this stuff is it's built worse than a prison, but since it's not a prison, the prison building rules don't apply to it. They're skirting around a bunch of like fire suppression rules by having, like dodgy systems that they're substituting for other systems.
Look, these people took out $60,000 in loans for an English degree, so they might as well be put in solitary.
They might as well die in a fire.
Amazing.
So that's all I had, but you have some stuff on Zillow, which I will go to the first link on. I think this is the one you want. Yeah, this is.
So this is the first one. This is it's a little buried because this is from 2017, and so this is the first one that I could find that corroborated it. But I found this elsewhere. But this is just from an interview that the CEO of Zillow ended up having, talking about this plan to do this essentially algorithmically or bot-assisted home buying process. And he goes off on this whole thing where he's just like, it's not so much displacement as it is enchantment, which is an amazing thing to say.
Yeah. And we're not displacing people, we're enchanting them into the void.
Right. And what he means by that is that, no, we're not going to get rid of any people. We're just going to go ahead and have them be assisted by algorithms and bots. And so this was the beginning of this process that they used to buy up some asinine amount of thousands of houses. And one of the things that Zillow has that makes this work is that they have an algorithm that estimates housing prices.
Yep.
And the really funny thing about the algorithm that they use is that it predictably ends up placing a huge amount of weight upon the actual price of a house.
Mm-hmm.
As you would assume, if you're trying to figure out the price of a house, then your algorithm should be largely making the estimation of the price of the house on, in fact, the price of the house, right? And so there were all these really hilarious anomalies where like a house would be $380,000, and the Zillow price would always be a little bit over. And then as soon as the listing price ended up changing arbitrarily because this house wasn't selling for a while to like 330, the Zillow price would magically change with it down to like 340, right? But something has happened over the last 5 years, which we can click over to the next one, where they bought these thousands of houses. But the thing is that they overpaid for all of them because their algorithm was essentially based on just saying all of the houses cost a little bit more than they cost. And so they ended up, this is actually a low estimate, 381 million. I saw another estimate that I'd like to kind of cross-reference that said something closer to like $1.8 billion in losses. And what these losses led to after they ended up buying these thousands of homes is it led to them laying off everyone that worked for the house buying sector of the company, which is 25% of their entire workforce. And of course, they didn't, he was right. They weren't displaced by the bots. They just realized that the bots didn't fucking work. And so they fired everyone. So they made of course, the housing market worse. And let's also keep in mind that they're not fire saling these houses either. No. Right. And so they bought all these thousands of houses, spent all of this money, and now they're going to trickle these homes out. And
now they're holding.
Well, they're not. They're kind of holding. They're not trying to speed this out, right? So they still want to try to make their money back, potentially, even while their stock prices are dropping precipitously. It's really bad. And so they're trying to sell these off, but because of the fact that they're still holding on to these as they're trying to sell them at like a reasonable rate, assuming that they're able to, they are still making it so that there are thousands of homes that people could be living in and buying and selling that just aren't available on the market elsewhere. And so, of course, increasing the price of houses and increasing this housing crisis that is only kind of artificial to begin with. And so making it substantially worse. It's amazing. I love this story so much. It's so awful.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's so many things, and the article points it out. On the one hand, Zillow's failure is a typical infuriating business story. Some execs dreamed up something they could not execute, it blew up spectacularly, and the most obvious people to suffer from their decision are the many employees they'll fire. But also, the housing market in general suffers, and the housing market is fucking insane right now, obviously.
And guess what happens if Zillow's if even with dropping 25% of their workforce, if they're not able to sell off these homes, and in fact the company ends up, I don't know, going bankrupt, who gets all the homes? It's the banks, right?
Yeah, right.
They end up having to give up all of this property. And so it just ends up going back to the same predatory people that are going to go ahead and loan these out. And it's going to be that same nightmare. And I've heard some reporting, but it's kind of hard to tell. But there's some reporting saying that Zillow is going ahead, and of course, and this makes sense, selling off these homes to, rather than individuals, of course, to these like larger corporations who are willing to buy it, because most metropolitan areas, all of the properties are owned by like 3 companies. So very good, very cool.
Yeah, so also to tie this into like the housing market in general, and especially back to banks, is that's one of the the 2008 market crash, where you had the bubble of real estate burst, and all of a sudden hundreds of thousands of people are defaulting on their loans. And the real like tricky, grifty sort of element that happens there is you had all these bank loans on properties, whatever. The banks were given the money to absorb their losses, because Obama is either a dumb piece of shit or a corporate shill. Doesn't really matter which, because functionally the same thing happened, which is the banks were given money, not the individual people who purchased these houses and were now defaulting. The banks were given the money, and it was trusted, whether it's genuine or not in intent, it was trusted that the banks would just forgive all these people when they had no incentive or like legal clause to have to forgive these people.
Right.
And so what happened is they came into possession of all these houses that they could now kick people out of, And so they've made their money on the house to begin with, and now they can double their money by selling it to somebody else who now has to pay a mortgage for the rest of their lives.
Right. And choices like in 2008 where Obama and all these different transitional and semi-transitional and non-transitional teams during the election ended up making these decisions. One of the reasons that they ended up giving the money optimistically, one of the reasons that they ended up giving the money to the banks rather than individuals is because the banks ultimately were going to make it so that if they were no longer solvent, right? If they didn't have money, they would not be able to do things like pay payroll for companies. Like, again, let's bring up McDonald's again, right? Because this is an actual example where McDonald's was not going to be able to pay any of its employees because of the fact that they do not actually have that cash on hand. They need to borrow that money from the banks, pay their people, and then go ahead and reimburse. And so they found themselves in this bizarre crisis where you could either make it so that you had this rippling kind of economic crisis where the money in all of these interconnected debt-based systems just kind of disappeared, or a bunch of people could lose their houses a little bit further down the line. I mean, obviously, either one is going to be a horrible choice, and I think the choices made around 2008 were the wrong ones. Sure. But that's like ultimately the reasoning for it. But it's it was the reason that shit was so bad wasn't even because the wrong choice was made about how to fix it, but because there's inherently no good way of fixing a system that is so fucked up.
It's a system that demands and thrives off of precarity,
financial Jenga, right?
And sometimes those lines between like what's precarity, like what's teetering on the edge and actually falling off of it, are so blurry that people just end up falling off of it.
Yep.
And there's no guardrails, of course, because you can't have guardrails on a system that's meant to be precarious.
Yep.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be precarious. And so, when you don't have guardrails on something, things are going to inevitably fall off, and it ultimately falls on the government to decide who falls off and who they attach some lifelines to. And what they chose was, we'll attach lifelines to the bank. And, we both agree on they made the wrong decision there because, whether or not it would have been like maybe a little bit more tumultuous for a little bit longer, you give the money to the people who actually need the house, live in the house, and have a stake in the house. And they will pay off the house to the bank. And then the bank will pay off all the loans or whatever financial agreements they have with other companies, whatever. And that may take some time, but at the very least you don't create a massive housing crisis, which is what we have now. And I've been making memes recently about architecture because we're both working on a project. Mine has more to do with architecture than yours, but we're kind of doing some overlap. But one of the memes that I made was about Yimbies, which is where they see this horrible Cthulian like nightmare building and like, yeah, build it. It's fine. Yeah, it'll give people houses. And what I'm referencing there is like the 5/1 buildings, which if you haven't done a lot of research into 5/1 buildings, it's 5 wooden stories above 1 story of concrete. The bottom story of concrete is usually shop fronts, and then everything above that is like tenant rental spaces. But the thing is that they're made out of dimensional lumber, and then they're also made out of wood that's like heavily soaked in basically fucking oil.
Hell yeah.
And so like OSB is just wood chips soaked in glue oil. And when these things are being built, sometimes they catch on fire. Hopefully they don't. But ultimately, what happens is over like a decade span of life, they're just shitty fucking buildings that the most cost effective measures have been taken in building them, and so you get all these water intrusions. The buildings just start fucking disintegrating because it's just wood chips held together by glue, and water is a solvent, and so you just create this fucking mush of a building that's not going to last. And so that's what YIMBYs do. And then NIMBYs are like, oh, I've got all this open land around me, but don't you dare fucking build in my desolate wasteland because it's gonna ruin my view of the desert or whatever.
Right. Yeah, rules. It's very, very cool. Last kind of note, and I don't have a link for this because I wasn't necessarily thinking of bringing it up here today, but
find something.
Yeah, maybe. But there are reports now, even after it was made illegal to have manganese piles in Chicago, that there is manganese being found in the air, which means it's actually in the soil as well. 2018. ASH Bill, Chicago facility, 2021. I know that's one of the ones along the river there. Yeah, so manganese is, along with lead, like this fucking viciously neurotoxic chemical. And I mean, it's not as bad as lead, and you do need like trace amounts of manganese in your body, but you need trace amounts of all sorts of things that'll kill you. The awesome, it's so dystopic, but there are instruction manuals for how to deal with manganese. So maybe that'll be fun. But there was another one from 2019 as well, but air quality ordinance there, I don't know. But so the instruction manuals that they're using for like saying how to deal with manganese in your yard and stuff is so creepy, because they're talking about don't sweep, because if you sweep, it'll produce dust and your children's brains will not develop. Don't use bleach because it's reactive and it'll turn everything in your house black. Soap down all of your children's toys whenever they're used, like all this shit. And my favorite one, whenever it is windy, close all of your doors and windows and keep your family inside, because the dust is made of poison. And this is the entirety of these like southeast side communities, which of course are also people that are working or were working in a lot of these spaces. It's not so much factories now, it's more so just like logistics plants that are moving around these chemicals. And if anyone is like a metal worker or like a god damn it, I can't believe the word just left my mind. When you use the fire torch thing to make the wood go, the metal go sticky, welder, anyone like that like works with manganese, right? And these are all things that are necessary for a lot of this type of work, as is lead, right? But you are still like experiencing a lot of this buildup, you yourself working in one of these plants and whatnot, but now your children also have it in their yard. Last one that I think is really creepy about these instructions, I'll send you this manual and we can post it up, but is that they mentioned that for some reason sandboxes are okay, which seemed like the dustiest place a child can play. So I don't fucking know.
This is one of those like public health things where it's like it's not like a functional decision, I think, that's being made there.
No.
It's like, can we really take the sandboxes away from the kids?
Yeah, no, it's total bullshitting. And I mean, Lightfoot, as anyone that's familiar with her in the most like distant way. Awful. When the BLM protests were happening, she like literally she shut down public transportation in these spaces. She ended up
as a black lesbian, decided, oh, these people want Black Lives to matter. No, I'll shut down public transport.
Very cool. So people that were in these spots that were protesting weren't able to get home, and so they were getting kettled and shit. Cops weren't going into specific neighborhoods as like a certain type of revenge, essentially, and then of course like over policing others. It was just a fucking nightmare, and of course like led by her, which I mean, Chicago has a wonderful history of like very, very awesome politicians and politically oriented people, like the mob and Rahm Emanuel. So it's very good.
Also killing Fred Hampton.
There you go.
Good thing.
Also, yeah. But that's my last dystopic thing.
Cool. Yeah. So, you know, there's probably more dystopias that we could look into.
Limitless.
Limitless. Yeah.
It is the world we live in. Yeah.
Which is ironic because these are all led by like ruling class people and billionaires, and you would think they are a limited group of people, but the imagination is limitless.
Well, money is speech. So
we're all living in their imaginations because none of this shit is real. Is the major takeaway from all this is these idiots,
these motherfuckers,
these people who, if I were a man that still wanted to use the R word, I would use the R word for. I mean, you listen to Elon Musk talk. He's not a smart person. We didn't touch Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. Oh Jesus.
We didn't touch Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos has his own like fucking dystopia that he's trying to sell to everybody. I mean, it's already in a lot of people's homes. The fucking Alexa, like, I talk to the robot box that's always listening to me, and then a couple days later I get a thing that I asked for. You know, just like complete alienation of like supply chain, and also alienation from you know, just the basic economics of your own homestead, really, at that point.
Right.
So yeah, there's plenty more dystopias we could look into. Maybe this will be part of a series. I don't know.
I'm into that.
I always promise series, and then we only go back to Peter the Great a couple of weeks. As far as pitches go, so I mentioned that at the top I mentioned that today was my last day at the city job. The city job has been a fucking slog that has taken up lots and lots. The new job, I assume there's going to be some kind of like period where I'm getting my head wrapped around things, getting assessments done, getting, you know, the swing of things. But from what I can tell, it's going to allow me a lot more time to do things, not work related. It's a more flexible schedule. It's more goal based rather than like, are you chained to a desk for a certain amount of hours based. So I'm hoping that I can start wheeling out some more content. Obviously, I've been talking about deep dives that I've been for a while, but I think this is actually a point where it's really going to happen. Also, the Patreon, the Benzo Rehab Dungeon will always be a free broadcast. If you would like to contribute to this effort, it would be appreciated. Not required. I won't look down on you if you don't. I won't look up to you if you do. I'm not selling it either way here. Completely
honest
neutral.
Man.
I am an honest man. But yeah, if you would like to contribute to the Patreon, if you enjoy the content, if you would like to help support it, patreon.com/BenzoRehabDungeon. Danko, do you have anything to pitch?
Just the usual. Workshop is still going strong. We're talking a lot about Charles Olson right now. It's been good times. Been pretty consistent just not a quarter semester so far, and we are of course always able to have people pop in whenever, regardless of whether or not you have the context of the previous ones. It's still something you can pop in and out of. But that's patreon.com/Truncata, TRUNCATA. If you want to sign up for it, that way you can get things like lectures, but which are in fact back up and running. And if it is not an option for you to pay, or if you just kind of don't wanna, you can just ask again, Deebs or myself, generally over Instagram, for the link each Saturday from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. PST. And we'll set you up with the prompt, the readings, the Zoom link, the everything.
Absolutely. Yep. All right. Well, genuinely hope John is okay.
Still isn't. Yeah, it's been 3 hours.
Yeah, haven't heard from him. Kind of concerned. We love you as always. Please take your medicine.
Please take mine too.
And share with your friends.
What was that?
that was hopefully not the ghost of John. All right, bye.